Hello students, welcome to third lecture of first unit solution. Today we are going to study about solubility of solutions. Solubility means how much of a solute can be dissolved in a specified amount of solvent. Okay, the amount of solute which can be dissolved in a specified amount of solvent is called solubility. As you see here, it is written solubility of a substance is its maximum amount that can be dissolved in a specified amount of solvent. So this is called solubility. Some substances are very much soluble in a solvent while others are less soluble. Why it is so? It is because solubilities of substances depend upon some factors. First factor is nature of solute, means the solute which we are going to dissolve in a solvent. What is its chemical nature? The chemical bonds or interactions which are formed by this solute with solvent molecules, these are going to affect. And second important factor is nature of solvent. You can say both solvent and solute, their chemistry matters. How much they interact with each other, what kind of forces of attraction they will form, this will affect their solubility. And about this, you must keep in mind one thing, which is a golden rule, which says that like dissolves like. You must have learned, you must have heard earlier also that like dissolves like. Means a solute which is organic will dissolve in organic solvents and inorganic solutes dissolve in inorganic solvents. This is accurate most of the times. We see common salt dissolves in water because water is ionic compound, common salt is ionic compound. But many times this rule doesn't hold good because you know glucose is organic compound, sugar is organic compound, but glucose and sugar are also soluble in water. Why is it so? Ethyl alcohol, which is organic compound, but you must have seen people dissolving ethyl alcohol in water. They are highly soluble, miscible. Why? You must remember that alcohol and water molecules develop intermolecular H bondings. Due to formation of H bondings, organic compound alcohol gets dissolved in inorganic compound water. Similarly, if you see the structure of glucose molecule has H atoms on oxygen directly bonded to oxygen, which are capable of forming H bondings. That is why glucose molecules are soluble in water. And similarly, you can understand that sugar is also soluble in water. So mostly keep in mind that like dissolves like. Kerosene is insoluble in water, petrol is insoluble in water because they are organic compounds, water is inorganic. Common salt, other salts are mostly soluble in water, both being inorganic. But when this rule fails, then take into consideration their chemical nature, their chemical bondings. If they are forming H bondings, then substances having opposite natures are dissolved. Okay, so nature of solute and nature of solvent is clear to you. So these are the first two factors which are going to affect solubility. Now let us consider the process of forming a solution. When we form a solution, you know what happens? We put solute in solvent to form a solution. When we are dissolving a solute into a solvent, a solution is forming. The process is called dissolution. The process of forming solution by mixing solute into solvent is called dissolution. Okay, means this forward process. This forward process is dissolution. And what is the reverse? When a solution is allowed to evaporate, solute comes out, and this process is called dissolution. So there is an equilibrium sign between these two. It is a reversible process. Means the process of dissolution or the process of crystallization is reversible. There is a fragile equilibrium. The process can be taken into either direction by changing the conditions. Okay. Uh, so what those conditions are? The conditions are of temperature and pressure. So now we shall study the third factor, that is temperature. How temperature is going to affect solubility. See this graph. If you see it keenly, on this axis we are taking temperature scale, and here there is solubility. That is gram of salt in 100 gram of water. Water is solvent. So let us see this graph for sodium nitrate. Sodium nitrate is solute in water. And what this curve is showing you, it is showing that with increase in temperature, solubility is also increasing. It is a positive curve. Solubility is increasing with increase in temperature. Similarly, here also, here also, here also, in this curve also, in this curve also, this curve also. If you see the curve of NaCl, the curve is almost parallel to x-axis, temperature axis, which is indicating that solubility is not much affected by temperature. There is almost no effect of temperature on solubility. It is neither increasing nor decreasing. But see this curve. Cerium sulfate, salt. What this curve is showing? When temperature is increased from 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, the curve is negative. It is showing negative relation. Means the solubility is decreasing with increasing temperature. Why is it so? First of all, take into mind the concept that how solubility is affected by temperature. What is the effect of temperature on solubility? You can write that solubility can increase or decrease or remain constant with increase in temperature. So solubility can increase, decrease, or remain unaffected with increase in temperature. Why it is so? It is because solubility follows Le Chatelier's principle. Now, what is Le Chatelier's principle? Do you remember in your 11th class syllabus? In your 11th class, you must have learned that Le Chatelier principle states that when a system is in equilibrium and stress is applied on it in the form of change in pressure or temperature, what happens? The equilibrium shifts and shifts in such a way so as to undo the stress. Okay. Now we have learned that the process of dissolution is a reversible process. What happens when we are dissolving a solute into solvent? What happens? Solute goes into solvent and solution is formed. And when a solute comes out of solution, that is called crystallization. And enthalpy change is always there in forward process as well as in backward process. And you know, if enthalpy change of forward process is positive, it will be negative for backward. And if negative for forward, positive for backward, that is enthalpy change. Okay. Now, let us take an example. If enthalpy change for the process of dissolution is positive, means in this case, the forward reaction has positive value of enthalpy change. Then what will happen? According to Le Chatelier's principle, if temperature is increased, the equilibrium system will tend to gain that heat, to absorb that heat. And for that purpose, the equilibrium will shift in forward direction. Okay. So the processes, the substances, solutes in which the process of dissolution involves positive enthalpy change means the process is endothermic. The reaction, the dissolution, the solubility will increase with increase in temperature and decrease with decrease in, that is true. Okay. But in second case, if the process of dissolution is negative, means there is release of heat on mixing solute and solvent. Okay, this process is, this delta H enthalpy change is negative. Then what will happen? This process is negative. Just try to understand yourself, try to get its answer. If forward reaction has negative enthalpy change, means the process is exothermic. Then if solute is going into solvent, heat is given out, heat is being released. And now if we heat such a solution, what will happen? The solute will stop dissolving. It will start coming out because according to Le Chatelier's principle, the equilibrium will shift in such a direction so as to undo the effect of increase in temperature. It will start going back, it will start absorbing heat. Is it clear? Let us take an example. You must have seen when we get our houses whitewashed, we dissolve calcium oxide quicklime in water. And when quicklime goes into water, a hissing sound comes, heat comes out because dissolution of calcium oxide in water results into formation of calcium hydroxide, which is called slaked lime. The process is exothermic and it is also called slaking of lime. And when we whitewash our houses, we always dissolve calcium oxide in the evening or at night because temperature is low in evening. Why? Because the process is exothermic. If temperature is low, the process will be faster, dissolution will be better. That's why. And if we increase temperature, calcium oxide will come out of the solution and crystallization will take place. So that is why in this graph you see that solubility of some salts is decreasing while others increasing with increase in temperature, and now you can get that it is because the process of dissolution is either uh, endothermic or exothermic. In your books, you must come across with some examples where up to certain temperature solubility increases and after some temperature solubility of a solute decrease. For example, one example of global salt is there. What is global salt? Glauber's salt is sodium sulfate, Na2SO4. What happens when we dissolve Na2SO4 in water and start increasing temperature, solubility increases. But after certain temperature, the value is given in books. After certain temperature, solubility start decreasing. Means first in this graph, the curve goes positive wise, then comes down negative wise. A peak comes. A peak comes in the graph. That peak shows transition from increasing to decreasing. Now what it happens? It happens because at that certain temperature where peak comes, Glauber salt gets hydrated. It forms crystals with the water molecules. One molecule of Na2SO4 gets crystallized with 10 molecules of water. It is called hydrated sodium sulfate. Okay, so that means anhydrous sodium sulfate, when dissolved in water, solubility increases with increase in temperature. But when hydrated sodium sulfate is dissolved, solubility decreases because both involve opposite values of enthalpy changes. And in your books, you will also see many examples in which two or three peaks come. For example, solubility of some salt is decreasing with increase in temperature, but after some temperature starts increasing, then again after start decreasing because their chemical natures are changing. Their crystal structures are changing. Try to read these from books, and if you still get problems, we can share it, we can discuss it in our groups, in our Zoom meetings. Okay, so first factor which affects solubility was nature of solute, second nature of solvent. Both these are covered by like dissolved slime, which I told you. Third factor is temperature. Temperature affects differently. Sometimes temperature increases solubility, sometimes it decreases, and sometimes solubility remains unaffected with temperature. Because the process of dissolution involves enthalpy change. Based upon that, The process is either exothermic or endothermic. If process is endothermic, solubility will decrease with increase in temperature. Sorry, if process is endothermic, solubility will increase with increase in temperature, according to Le Chatelier's principle. And if process of dissolution is exothermic, then solubility will decrease with increase in temperature. Keep it in mind. Okay. And when a solute shows different trends after some temperature, that means its structure, its crystal structure is going some change. It is getting hydrated or something else. Okay. Now, last factor is pressure. We are studying solubility of solid in liquid. Solute is solid, solvent is liquid. And you know that pressure has almost no effect on a solid and liquid also. The solids and liquids are highly incompressible. So solubility practically remains unaffected by change in pressure. So you can keep in mind that if solute is solid and solvent is liquid, then both solid and liquid remain unaffected by pressure. They are practically incompressible. So solubility of solid solute in liquids solvent remains unaffected by pressure. Okay. Yeah. But if solvent or solute, one of them is gas, then solubility will be affected by pressure because gases are highly compressible. That will take into account when we study solubility of gases in liquids in next lecture. Okay. Now you must clear it that solubility is not a chemical process. Dissolution is just a physical change. It is not a chemical reaction. So you can see here dissolution versus reaction. Dissolution is a physical change. You can get back the original solute by evaporating. You see, process is reversible. We can get back the original solute, and that is called crystallization. Dissolving a solute into solvent is called dissolution. Both processes, both are equally possible. So it is a physical change. Dissolution or crystallization, solubility, these are physical changes. It is not a chemical reaction. And chemical reaction is what? If you don't get the substance back in original form, then that means the substance has reacted. For example, in this diagram, we have nickel. In this bottle, we have small granules of nickel metal. And we have sulfuric acid, concentrated or dilute. Maybe we can take dilute also. If in a test tube, we put a granule of nickel metal and a few drops of sulfuric acid, what happens? A chemical reaction takes place. A greenish substance settles down, which we can filter and separate. And that greenish substance is nickel sulfate. If I again put this substance into water and evaporate it, I am not going to get nickel back. I am not going to get sulfuric acid back because nickel and sulfuric acid have reacted to form nickel sulfate. Okay, but if I have dissolved sodium chloride in water and a solution has been formed, and if I evaporate that solution, I will get back salt. As in your practical, You prepare crystals of copper sulfate. You prepare crystals of moher salt, like that. So crystallization is just a reverse of dissolution. It is a physical process. So in today's lecture, you have learned what solubility is, and when solute is solid, solvent is liquid, then solubility is affected by four factors: nature of solute and solvent, temperature, and pressure does not affect their solubility because solids and liquids are practically incompressible. Now, in tomorrow's lecture, we will take solubility again, but now solute will be gas and solvent will be liquid. Both are compressible, and now the effect of pressure will be of great account. So that we shall study tomorrow. Till now, it is over. Goodbye. Thank you.